Am I the butthole for getting mad at my wife for her jokes about me not helping around the house or with our baby? My wife and I both work. Only difference is she actually goes into the office and I'm still working from home. We have a 10-month-old daughter and I've been basically a stay-at-home dad on top of working my regular day job. It was stressful as hell when my wife finished up her maternity leave, but luckily my work is pretty flexible, so I'm not usually super busy. Most of the day, I'm replying to emails on my phone with my daughter in her carrier or taking conference calls while she's napping. I also do the cleaning around the house because I'm a total neat freak and order or cook dinner too if I have the time. Then in the evenings, my wife takes over so I can have some leisure time. On Sunday, we went to have lunch at her sister's house. First time we've seen each other in a while. They ask us how life's going with the new baby, and my wife starts jokes about the house being a mess when she gets home and her having to clean it up because I've been too busy playing with our daughter all day to do it myself. When her sister's husband asked how I manage, I admitted it does get overwhelming sometimes, and my wife once again chimed in saying I call her constantly throughout the day over little things. Like not being able to find our daughter's binky or needing her help because our daughter won't stop crying and I have no idea what to do. She also laughed about how every day when she gets home, she just prays I didn't burn the house down. I know it was all said in a lighthearted, joking around way, but it really hurt my feelings. Everyone was chuckling except me, so my wife kissed my cheek, telling me not to take it too seriously, and she appreciates that I put in the effort. So I straight up told her, well, I don't appreciate you acting like I'm useless when I'm the one at home taking care of her all day and cleaning the house. My wife didn't know how to respond to that, and we changed the subject. She was in a serious mood after we left because I embarrassed her, and it wouldn't have hurt for me to let her joke around a little because she knows I help out a lot. I've been distant with her, not talking much when she gets home, and she's mad at me for taking it too seriously. Even her sister says I'm overreacting, but I just don't see why she thought it was okay to paint me as the cliche, useless man-child husband. Now I have my wife saying I'm being a bit of a jerk for still holding this against her, and she doesn't see why it's a big deal to me. Part of me just feels hurt and I'd like an apology, but another part wonders if I am being a jerk for how I'm acting with her. Not the butthole. Put it this way, if the situation was flipped and you were the salary man and your wife was a stay-at-home mom, how would those comments go down in front of her family? Would they still find it funny that you're implying that the mother of your child was useless at home? If it's not funny in reverse, it's not funny. She needs to apologize for undermining you, then you guys can move forward. And he's not a stay-at-home dad. He's working on top of taking care of a baby. That is huge. And even if he weren't working a traditional job as well, taking care of an infant and all household chores is exhausting. Even without the job, he's doing so much. She is so ungrateful. Just goes to show that arrogant buttholes who take for granted they don't have to raise their own children knows no gender. I would go into therapy immediately if I were him, and as myself would consider leaving before that, LOL. Sounds like he's taking care of 2 babies. I will apologize up front for hijacking the top comment. I won't leave a judgment, even though you are clearly not the butthole here. But I want to offer some free and totally unsolicited advice. I would encourage you to talk to your wife and tell her not just that she hurt you, but how and why her comments hurt. It is important that she sees this. Then moving forward for the health of your relationship, I would like to suggest a rule that you both live by, an agreement as it were. This is a rule that my wife and I have kept since before we were married. Never make the other person the punchline of your joke. Jokes are only funny if there is some element of truth in them. That has always been the case, but jokes that are made at the expense of the other person usually ends with the embarrassment and humiliation of the one being dumped on. You speaking up refuted the humiliation, and thus your wife had to bear it herself. Jokes can create cracks in a relationship, cracks that can largely be ignored or go unnoticed. Then there is a potential to go through a cold spell in your relationship where you're just going through the motions, oftentimes out of sheer exhaustion. And just like the ice bursting in cracks of concrete, these cracks in your relationship are vulnerable to the stresses of life. You need to put in the work to remove opportunities for such disaster. Not the butthole, but your wife sure is. She's undermining your efforts. You're doing your best, man, and it's only a joke if it's funny to both parties. Otherwise, it's just being mean. Your wife needs to take a second and wonder why she's embarrassed. Here's the answer. Because she knows you told the truth and she's embarrassed you called her out instead of going along with her jokes, that makes her look like the better parent. You keep doing what you're doing and make sure you have a serious talk with her when tempers are calmer, alright? You sound like a good dad, by the way. Am I the butthole for telling my teenage daughter to stay with her aunt because my older daughter didn't want her in the house? My wife and I have 2 daughters, Laura, 20, and Lily, 15. Laura's studying away but came home for the weekend. Lily has just had her first boyfriend break up and it's hit her hard. She's been crying in her room for the past few days. Unfortunately, Laura has a bit of a wind-up personality and was tormenting her little sister about the breakup, which only upset Lily more. She was saying things like if the boyfriend left her for a prettier girl and saying she didn't blame him, etc. Horrible things. We did tell Laura repeatedly to cut it out, but she didn't listen, to the point that Lily went to bed in tears. Laura has eye problems. She has been visually impaired since she was a baby. Her current glasses prescription is -28 and she can't wear contacts. We woke up this morning to screaming from Laura's room. Laura had woken up and put her glasses on, but the lenses had been popped out. Lily admitted to doing it and said that she threw the lenses out the window. We did try to search for them outside, but they couldn't be found. Laura was crying her eyes out and couldn't see anything at all. She does have a spare pair of glasses, but as she only came for a couple of days, she didn't bring them with her. To be fair, Lily regretted what she did as soon as she saw how upset Laura was, but Laura didn't want Lily near her and begged us to keep her away. My wife's sister lives nearby, and I asked Lily to go spend the day there because Laura was blinded and looking after her had to be our main concern. I then got a call from my sister-in-law saying, "How dare you throw her out for that spoiled bully?" It's not about spoiling anyone. Laura was blinded and terrified and was too scared to be in the same house as Lily. It was right to ask her to leave until we could get Laura back to her place where her spare glasses were. I do get that it was harsh to just tell Lily to leave, but what else could we have done when our other child was unable to see and crying in fear? Now for some of the comments. You're the butthole. The oldest was, in your own words, tormenting her little sister. You should have made her leave. I can't blame the youngest for wanting revenge, to be honest. Your oldest sounds horrible. Yeah, she's an adult. She had no business being there if she's going to torment a child. Terrified, and was too scared to be in the same house as Lily. Also a drama queen who knows how to wrap the parents around her little finger. Unless Laura didn't actually say it and OP is just trying to excuse her blatant favoritism and failure on every level as a competent parent to Lily. Is Laura terrified every morning when she wakes up and is blind? How about in the shower? You are being played by your drama queen bully of an older daughter. She may be inconvenienced, but she is safe with you in your home. The only thing she's upset about is being on the receiving end of bullying behavior. She can dish it out, but she can't take it. And your behavior is making sure she doesn't have to deal with the consequences of her behavior. Exactly. I've had vision impairment on about the same level as Laura my whole life, and it's never even come up as a thing to consider much with my family. I have glasses. I have old ones stashed away in my house and car as backup, just in case. Came in useful when a lens popped out while I was driving recently. And that's that. I think the most anyone's ever even thought about it was when my parents offered to pay for prescription goggles last year so I could get back to swimming. Yes, I'd be very upset if something happened to my glasses, but I'd figure out a solution that wasn't, kicking a child out of the house. It's not something to be terrified about when you're at home and can figure out a solution. Super irritating until you can get your hands on spares, yes. Terrifying? Certainly not. Definitely, you're the butthole. Thank you for joining us again. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you the next time.